This is Matt from InvestiQuant. Today is Thursday, May 28th, 2020. And this morning we saw the markets gap up in 3 of the 4 indices. ES gapped up above prior day high. NASDAQ gapped down, so there was a little bit of a conflict in the opening locations this morning. But the other 3, Russell, YM, ES, did gap up above the prior day high this morning. And looking at the ES chart here in the top left, you can see it gapped up, it tested down just into the prior day's range, filling that gap there, and then has turned and kind of grinded higher all afternoon. And we're currently holding up near the highs of the session. So I just want to test that price action that we're seeing here where we've gapped up above the prior day high. We have filled the gap, and then you're trading near the highs going into the close, and just see what that has looked like historically. So let me set this up. I'm going to set this up in all 4 instruments. The setup is going to be a time-based entry, and I'm going to use 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time as the entry. It'll be set up as a long trade. It will exit at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And for the opening filter, I'm going to use that it opened above the prior day high, so I can add that here in the opening area section. And then in the post-open filter section, I can add this price action where it filled the gap and then has since pushed up to the highs of the range. So I'm going to hit gap filled, and this intraday close versus intraday range will let me say that it is trading the top quartile of its current intraday range, which is true. And then lastly, I'm going to go down to the indicator section and put this in a like environment where we are above a couple moving averages. We are above a 10-day moving average, above a 200-day moving average. Haven't been able to show that in a while, but that is the case now for the ES. So let's add that and click View Results. And these are the results for gapping up above the prior day high and then filling the gap and pushing back up to trade near the highs going into 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Went above the 10 and above the 200-day moving average. So it looks like the ES has 51 samples. We got 47 in the NASDAQ, 48 in the YM and Russell. So around just under 200 total samples between all 4 instruments. And it looks like the win rate's coming in around 60% or so. NASDAQ a little bit weaker, Russell a little bit stronger. But on average, it looks like they're probably, 62-ish% as a whole. So this pattern has historically had a little bit of a lean to the long side going into the close. Just looking down here, average loss versus average win here, specifically the ES and NASDAQ, it's pretty noticeable that the average loss has been larger than the average win. So even though they've won a little bit more often than they've lost, the bigger movements have been on the downside when they're wrong. So perhaps not a ton of room on the upside left versus how much would be left on the downside if it was going to roll over. But historically, slight lean to the long side based off of this pattern that is currently in play in the ES. So I hope you found that interesting. Good luck the rest of the day, and we will see you next time.